Hello and welcome back to Bits and Bobs. Now I have here in my hand a handful of 50p pieces, or as they are commonly known, 50p's. 50p coins, a beloved coin in circulation for many years, and today's video is going to be the history of the 50p. But let's move these away for now, as to go back in time, and the history of the 50p begins with this, which is not a 50p, or not even a coin. This is the Bank of England 10 shilling note. Now, as we know, before 1971, when we used the pre-decimal system, there were 20 shillings to the pound, and so therefore 10 shillings was a half of a pound. Now, these notes were demonetised for decimalisation, and in 1969, the first of the 50p coins was released. However, they did not bear this design, they had this design, and they did not actually have this size. These are a smaller size, and we'll get onto that later. Here we have it, the first ever 50p coin. As you can see, it says new pence, as all the coins did, ready for decimalisation, for about 10 years afterwards, as they were all new coins. And the first year of the 50p was 1969. Looking over to the obverse, we can see there, 1969, the first year of the 50p piece, now a 55-year-old coin. Now, for a better size comparison, I'll get one not from the first date, but from the same size before they were downsized to compare the size. This is a commemorative one, but looking at the size, you can see much larger than the current 50p, much larger diameter, and a much larger thickness. Look at that. That is a huge coin. This one weighs about 13 grams. This one weighs 8 grams. So not far off being double the mass of the new coin. But we'll get to the new coin as we go through the timeline. So the timeline begins, like we say, in 1969 to 1970, when there was a transition period between the note, which we lost just before decimalisation, and the new 50p piece, which we got in 1969. Now, the shape of the coin is iconic and was designed by Rolls-Royce engineers to perfect the design, as these coins have a constant diameter, so they roll very smoothly, but are still recognisable as not a circle, and can be found in change very easily. At the time of release, the 50p piece was the highest value coin in circulation in the world. So the buying power of 50p was higher than any other coin in the world. And it was the highest denomination of coin in circulation in England. Of course, it had to be if it was the highest value, as the next denomination up was not a coin, but a note. And then people were using back then the pound note, and then half of that was the 50p. It would not be until the 80s that the pound note was replaced with the pound coin. So for a while, the 50p was, well, for more than a while, for many decades, the 50p was the highest and largest denomination in circulation. So there's 1969, which is the first year. Now, I won't be showing you every single year, every single coin, of course, because that would just be a bit boring to look through, but I will show you when the designs changed on obverse and reverse, or when the sizes changed, or the composition changed. So the more key parts, the lasting changes, rather than a year-on-year date or design change, if that's just for 1 year, like the commemorative designs, which is our next point of call. Now, we did see one here already. This is the first ever commemorative 50p. 51 years ago, the first commemorative 50p was released, the first of many, as the Royal Mint these days release multiple coins every month, often, and often definitely multiple coins a year, commemorating different events. This is the first one, though, and it is the EEC hands, so the ring of hands representing nations in friendship, as we can see there. And it was, of course, from 1973, with that same portrait. This is the portrait by Arnold Machin, released exclusively for decimalisation and for the first decimal coins. Now, there were a few other large size 50p's that had commemorative designs, and like I say, there are absolutely tons of the modern ones that have special designs. There's like the Olympic designs here, we've got quite a few of. There's other things like Victoria Cross medals, all kinds of things, the stars design there, all kinds of things commemorated on 50p to this day. Now, back in the day, they were all for circulation, but around 2018, coins stopped going to circulation every single time, and only a select few of that year's designs went into circulation. Anyway, so there's lots of commemoratives there, but returning back to our timeline to 1970s, the next change for the 50p was the design change, changing from new pence to 50p. The first year to say 50p was in 1982, so 13 years after the coin was released. Arguably wasn't really a new coin, even 5 years afterwards, but all the denominations from the 1 penny up to the 50p changed from their new pence to their denomination in 1982. So here we have the original and the 82. Turning them over, we can see originally new pence, then 50 pence. Now the design was kept the exact same, and I should mention this design, of course, very iconic, is the one designed by Sir Christopher Ironside, and of course has been on the 50p for many, many years. And like I say, that design is still in change today on the smaller variety. So there we go. Now there was a change not long after the new pence changed to 50 pence in 1982, as the next change came in 1985. So let's take a look. I'll very quickly tell you about Hattons of London. Hattons of London, who respond to this video, are specialists in rare and exclusive coins, and with them you can celebrate the 100 years since the naming of Flying Scotsman with the release of this world-first range of 22-carat gold sovereign coins. Simply click the link in the description or at the top of the comment section to get yours now for only £69, or you can buy the more exclusive double sovereign as part of the range, and with that you will receive a piece of the authentic Flying Scotsman boiler tube. You can actually own your very own part of Britain's most famous locomotive. Now the difference is not on the reverse of the coin. The exact same design remains here to the reverse, but it is to the obverse. Can you see the difference? Well, quite clearly we have a new portrait of the Queen. This is the Arnold Machin one, the second portrait, and here is the Raphael Macluf portrait, which is the third portrait of the Queen, and was introduced in 1985, as we can see there. A lovely design. Personally, one of my favourite designs of the Queen of her 5 portraits, and I think definitely an upgrade as well as a change in this year for the Queen's portrait, in my opinion. But there we go, 1985, that changed. Now for quite a while there was no change to the 50 pence piece. These are all just different ones from the 80s, 83, 82, that one's from 79, but no change to the coins. They remain the same design, the same size, the same metal, all things the same. But now our next change is the downsize of the 50p, which makes sense when we do this. Now here we have the circulating coins of around 1990. So by the way, just to say, there are 3 new ones you haven't seen so far. So the 20 pence introduced in 1982, the £1 coin replaced the £1 note in 1983, so goodbye to this and hello to this, and the £2 coin joined in 1986. So 3 more coins there in the 1980s. But now to 1990, we have the 1 penny, 2 pence, 5 pence, 10 pence, 20 pence, 50 pence, £1 and £2, and the sizes look pretty accurate. The penny weighs half the 2 pence, the 5 pence weighs half the 10 pence, the pound is half the £2, and we have here the 2 7-sided coins. However, there were changes, as in 1990 the 5 pence was downsized, so goodbye to the large 5 pence, and we then have the new downsized 5 pence coin there, looking decidedly small in circulation, especially next to the 10 pence there. But only 2 years later, in 1992, the 10 pence had the same fate and was downsized, similar to the 5 pence was, now becoming a much smaller coin, as we can see, with here being the new size of the 10 pence. Again, much smaller. And now you can kind of see this is looking a bit small up to this corner. So then there was quite a while, there was 5 years of circulation looking like this, which means there were 5 years, actually 7 years for this size of coin, where the 5 pence was so much smaller than the 50 pence. It was pretty insane size difference there between these 2 coins. Very tiny and very big. Anyway, in 1997, the final coin to be downsized was, we have here the 50 pence piece, the old large style, that was then downsized in 1997, and then was this size here. Now, we did already have a look at the size difference, but just to show you again, decidedly smaller and decidedly thinner. Close to half the weight being shaved off there, and here we had the coins. Now the only real outlier now is the 2 pence, which is bigger than the 1p, the 5p, the 10p, the 20p, and the pound coin, and is pretty similar to the 50p, only just the edges sticking out there. But the 2 pence has never been downsized, as it still, of course, is double the weight of the 1 penny. Now the 1 penny couldn't be shrunk for a long time as of the half penny, limiting its size, so it couldn't be any smaller, and that's just kind of stayed around like that for now. So here we have the current coins of 1997. Now there was a change that year as well, in 1990, just to keep it up to date, although it is about the £2 coin. This did change in 97 to this style of coin that we recognise today. So there we go, there's the change now completed for the 50 pence. Now, at the same sort of time this happened, many more commemoratives began to be released on the 50 pence piece. We have absolutely tons of commemoratives, and if you collect the commemorative designs, you'll know there are more and more released every year that goes past. Now, we do have a full video on all the commemorative coins, if that's what you're interested in, but today's video is not about commemoratives, it's just about the main actual sort of style of the coin. So now, removing the other denominations, we're not doing those coins today, we're just doing the 50 pence piece. The change that happened the year after was a portrait change. Here we have this new, smaller 1997 50p, and then looking to the 1998, we can see again a portrait change. So the new portrait, done by Ian Rank Broadley, and this is the 4th portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and lasted until 2015. So a long-running portrait there, replacing this portrait in 1998. If you ask me, they should have done it in 1997 and made a new size, have a new portrait, but we did have 1 year of 50p having this portrait, and it is a very common year indeed, as it is the first year of the small variety. Now then, the next change comes 10 years later, so for 10 years the coin stayed the exact same, other than of course commemoratives being dotted around year on year, but the design change was then arguably not the best one. We have the Royal Shield being introduced. Now, not everyone likes the Royal Shield. It is cool, as you can see on screen there. You can assemble the Royal Shield with the coins, sort of like a jigsaw, but it does leave some of the designs of the coins being quite bad. Famously, the 20 pence coin is a lion's bum. Not the greatest compared to the English rose we had before, but it is still quite a cool idea to have the English shield, or the Royal Shield rather, assembled on the coins. And the shield part at the bottom, so the point of the shield, was the 50 pence design, as we can see here. That has become iconic, but it isn't a great design to be fair. We've got one lion, half a lion, and a point of a harp. There we go. But do comment down below, do you like the Royal Shield design? But I think that most people do prefer the Britannia design. Anyway, there we go. This new design ran from 2008 all the way until 2022, at the sad passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, and there was a new design change introduced after many years, 14 years. We then got a new design replacing the Royal Shield 50p. And that design is this coin right here. And this is the Atlantic Salmon 50p. This is the new definitive design. So this is not a commemorative coin. Of course, like I say, we are kind of skipping over commemorative coins for this video. Of course, there are many of those released, and like I say, we do have a full video. But the new definitive design, so the new long-running common design to see, will be this. As I say will be this. At the moment, there's not been too many released, so that's still quite a cool coin to find. But in the next sort of 5 to 10 years, this coin will become fairly common, as it will be the new definitive running for many years, such as the Britannia and the Shields. So there we go. And of course, the exciting part of this coin is, for many collectors, was it is the first 50p and one of the first decimal coins to feature a portrait of King Charles III. There we go. We can see His Majesty there on the coin. And of course, as with tradition, he faces the opposite way to the Queen. So their portraits have swapped directions, as is tradition. So there we go. This is the current up-to-date 50p. And now bear in mind one thing, we did say the metal composition. We did mention, will that change? Well, it did not change ever. The very first ones, the big, large ones, the Britannia ones, commemorative ones, all 50 pence pieces to this day are minted out of cupro nickel, which is 75% copper and 25% nickel. The weight of the coin is 8 grams ever since 1997, and the diameter is 27.5 millimeters, again, ever since the downsize in 1997. So there we go. That is the history of the 50 pence piece. From the 10 shilling note, which was the first £half, to the old large size, to Britannia, to the Royal Shield, to the new salmon, and the coins of King Charles III. Now I've forgotten something, which I did on purpose to see if you would notice, but I will reveal to now what I have forgotten to show you, which is the design change between 2008 and the release of the Royal Shield, and 2022 and the changeover to the King Charles coins. There was one more portrait, the 5th portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, and we have it here. This is the 5th portrait that replaced this portrait on the coins. Very similar looking portraits, but a bit slimmed down perhaps. This is the Jodie Clark portrait, as you can see, JC. So the design of the Queen done by Jodie Clark, and was her final portrait for coins. So there we go. Now we have reached the complete history of the 50p. A popular denomination, a very collectible denomination, and one that has had a very long history over now 55 years of changes, evolution, and different designs on this coin. So there we go. Now do comment down below your favourite design of the definitives. So do you prefer Britannia, the shield, or the salmon? For me, it just has to be Britannia, a classic. But there we go. Thank you for watching. Please do leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time for some more coins in the future on Bits and Bobs.